Let's analyze Halol 483. Let's analyze what's happening with pharma by and large with somebody who understands the pulse of the industry. Amit Rajan, director of Celogen Lifescience, joins us right now on the show. He's come here before as well. And good having you back again, Mr. Rajan. Thanks for joining in. Now let's analyze the Form 483 of Sun Pharma. You know, yesterday we were saying that there were four observations made in the warning letter, and there, I mean many, but out of the many, 4 got repeated in the Form 483 as well,
right.
Which means they were not able to solve a lot of fairly common things that they were forewarned of. What did you make of the Form 483?
See, Sun Pharma got 2 inspections, one from Mohali and one for Halol site. And if you summarize, look at the 483 and make a summary, I'm sorry to say that the jewel of the Indian pharma crown has lost its shine. It was not expected of Sun Pharma not to have the same repeat observations in Mohali and the same repeat observations in Halol.
So what is going wrong? I mean, they understand best practices. I'm sure they must have hired good consultants. I'm sure they also understand the basic requirement of of US FDA. The US FDA laws are not new to them.
Right.
What is going wrong? Is it pure execution, oversight from the management, or US FDA is now becoming very stringent and they're picking and they're nitpicking even smaller issues which they had ignored earlier?
Part of the answer is oversight by the management.
Okay.
And Sun Pharma is playing more to the investors gallery than to the FDA. I can very clearly tell you this, because last time in Nikunj when I was here, I was telling you that oral doses form India is up to the mark. I mean, FDA has no issues in that, and that's why you see if the oral doses manufacturing observations, there are hardly any concerning. Last time also we covered on data integrity. Thank God, no data integrity issues. However, potentially for Halol unit for Sun Pharma, there are issues which are bordering data integrity, which eventually will be captured by FDA in their EIR. The data integrity per se doesn't get captured in 483 because it's not a terminology that they use. But when the Sun Pharma receives the EIR, it will definitely have a commentary on data integrity. Consultants and all that, okay, they will bring their own expertise. Aseptic manufacturing is something Sun Pharma has to take care. Halol plant, I mean, to give you a disclaimer, I don't own any Sun Pharma stock, but I did work for Sun Pharma in 1997. The Halol plant was never a good aseptic manufacturing site. You can't make and fit a sterile plant to deliver you a aseptic product. So the way forward, looking at these 483s, the way forward I see from Sun Pharma to maintain their business is to shift this manufacturing to a already aseptic manufacturing approved plant in US or Europe. Otherwise, I don't think FDA is going to even revert back to them in less than a year time.
So if Halol goes, fresh approvals will go for Sun Pharma, which means the growth which analysts and market men had forecasted for FY18 and FY19, that needs to be hunkered down. And historically, if you have problems with US FDA in one plant, they will be very cautious in giving you fresh approvals.
That's why the Halol is actually a double-edged sword now for Sun Pharma.
It's a reputation. It's a reputation which is not getting sorted.
And even if, see, Halol is a mixture of oral doses as well as steriles. Now what happens is FDA sees you as a common quality system site. So even if they do good things in oral, because of the sterile issue, they will not approve the site. So all the filings that has been done from Halol is on hold anyways. So Sun Pharma numbers that they would have calculated 2019-20 onwards, they are going to get revised because you are not going to get A&D approvals. And I'm personally very surprised, very surprised to see the sterile observations. This is something to do with hygiene, something to do with habit, and potential some of the observations on our data integrity.
You didn't see this coming?
I did see coming for aseptic manufacturing. We clearly discussed that.
Yeah,
you know, this is something, these are habits which can't change overnight. Technologies can change, you can buy new machines, you can implement a new building, but you know, human habits, you can't change overnight. And that's where the consultants who have come to Sun Pharma or Wockhardt for that matter, they actually have not gone into the culture issue of India. They have only looked into the numbers and, you know, the actual recording of data and all that. Sterile is a culture issue. You need to talk to people, train them the way they have to operate on a sterile plant actually.
But it's chalk and cheese, right, for pharma, because while we have you saying the crown prince of Indian pharma has lost its shine, it's not that every pharma company is. There are some pharma companies which are actually clearing the earlier issues as well.
Yeah, Lupin continues to be another jewel in the crown, and it continues to be getting FDA approval, and they know where they are going. That's why I'm telling you, Sun Pharma unfortunately is playing to the pressure of the shareholders. They have to perform because you know they have taken such a position. And unfortunately, the back end is not supporting Sun Pharma.
So you would reckon the approvals are some time away, at least a year away. As per
for
your-
sterile, it's about 2 years away.
Okay, now Lupin has got all the necessary clearances. The Goa plant also has been cleared.
Yes.
So can I safely say that it's cleared X for Lupin? All the US FDA, all the regulatory problems are behind Lupin now.
Yes.
And now Lupin, it's all clear blue skies.
Yeah, absolutely. And same goes with Aurobindo Pharma. The regulatory mess is behind them now, and you'll see number of ANDA approvals coming for Lupin and Aurobindo in coming days.
Anish?
No, I was just thinking, yesterday when we were analyzing this story, we were talking about how, there might be some procedural issues, but they're not core data integrity issues in
Right.
Form 483, right? So it's only a matter of time. Yes, this is a re-inspection, but, give it some time and Sun Pharma will come back, try to negotiate with the US FDA and convince them to give them the approvals. But when I hear you, I get a more pessimistic view. This Form 483 didn't seem as grave, and we saw that in the stock price reaction as well. Yesterday, but today when we're talking to you, we get a sense that there's more work to be done, and we're not sure whether the management is committed to clearing the air there.
See, I tell you, specifically coming to Sun Pharma's 483s on Halol, FDA has reviewed Sun Pharma on 3 grounds. A, the market complaints they had for the last year, pending their FDA issues from that plant. So you will see that at least 4 or 5 of observations on the market complaints that has not been handled by Sun Pharma. So they have been hammered there. And it was an open book. The Sun Pharma management would have known that FDA is going to go and review this data.
Right.
And that's why it makes me sad to say that they probably didn't do the right job. The second was the compliance of the previous years. So that they did it, and that's why you see no issues in the data integration, and consultants really helped them there. But steriles, I'm still surprised that either they have not understood the observations, or probably I get a feeling that probably Sun Pharma did not give a strong push on getting the sterile approvals.
Okay. Now, if you have to, let's say, construct a portfolio,
Right.
forget about what happens to stock markets
Right.
today and tomorrow. That's all noise and that's all sentiment. But on a 3-year basis, 5-year basis, where do you think there is enough there is enough visibility? Which companies currently have the best manufacturing practices in place, where you think that plants are unlikely to run into regulatory hurdles, and also which are the companies where you think that the choice of portfolio is not bad? I mean, if you are in the bulk drug manufacturing, trust me, you're not going to make money because that is the low margin business.
Yes, absolutely.
In order to make more money, either you need to work on developed molecules or you need to work on NDDS.
Yeah.
So based on these 2-3 criteria which I just mentioned, pick the 3 best companies for us.
See, I continue to pick Lupin. Best manufacturing practices, best ANDA pipeline, and one of the best managements you can see in pharma industry.
Okay.
Second is, as Aurobindo is coming up with a lot of approvals. Natco continues to be a strong player in the US market.
They have a very strong R&D pipeline. Can they achieve what they are indicating?
Yes,
Natco.
absolutely.
Where is the money for them? Because their R&D pipeline, Neeraj and Tanvir, I think is one of the finest. And the Capaxone example has told me that the world is taking notice of what they're doing.
But even one point of the API, there are people who will make money on the API, and Laurus IPO is coming. You see,
Yeah.
Laurus is going to give strong challenge to Mylan in the ARV space. I mean, I don't know about the numbers and the
you're
price of
upbeat
this
on
year.
Laurus.
Laurus is going to be a new player in ARV space,
Sure.
and it's going to get Mylan's market.
Mr. Rajan, just stay on. We'll just finish this point in moments from now, but it's 10 o'clock. It's a new kid on the block. I think we need to address that first and then revisit this pharma discussion. Tell you what pharma companies are doing the best, but bring up the Mandhana Retail Ventures, MRVL, and I think pretty much on expected lines. The street was probably working with a number of 240, 245 odd. It's coming at 225. I'll tell you the basis of our shareholding. The FY17 EBITDA was expected to be 55 crores. Is expected to be 55 crores. If you value it at anywhere between 10 to 13 times EV EBITDA, outstanding shares of 2.2 crores, you'll probably then get to about a listing price of about 225 to 250 or 245 to 250 essentially. So that is essentially why we thought that it could probably list at about 245 to 250. It's at 225. It's not terribly cheap. It's not terribly expensive. It's right there, wedged in between there, Mandhana Retail. But yeah, a decent enough start for this one. A lot of rub off for Mandhana Industries, but frankly, you don't get anything of Mandhana Retail. If you are a Mandhana Shareholders Industries today, so keep that in mind. I'm repeating for the benefit of people who are joining in right now. Don't go out and buy a Mandhana because you think you will get 2 shares for every 3 shares held. That X date is long gone. Just keep that at the back of your mind. However, Mandhana Retail on debut, 5% higher. The question, of course, remains whether this is a great stock to buy now, Being Human franchise, or would you rather look at some of the others which have got a composite franchise? I mean, Arvind has a bunch of strong brands. Aditya Birla Fashion Retail, a bunch of strong brands within themselves. So then you got to ask yourself whether you bet on a single trick pony or do you actually look at a clutch of brands? And I think the answer would be to each their own. But yeah, there is enough and more other game available out there, Nikunj and Tanveer. You don't necessarily have to bet on Mandhana as the sole retail play.
See, any brand has to be aspirational in nature. It has to have a story and it has to have a connect. The only connect for Mandhana here is the brand Being Human, and Being Human is again riding on 2 angles: the Salman Khan angle and the entire NGO angle. That's a very niche market. That's not a market where you may say that okay, it may appeal to urban masses, it may appeal to rural classes. That's it. I don't think this will be a 1,000 crore brand, to put it very simply. I mean, it can grow and it can chug along in the backdrop at 10, 15, 20%. But it does not become the first port of call for you. Because if you look at the placement also, the placement is not the prices of the product. The pricing of the product also is slightly above par.
Right.
It has been priced against the Zaras and the premium brands of Arvind.
Yes.
So it's not like I'm getting great value at a great price.
Yeah.
So, but in stock markets, strange things can happen. The stock may really do well today because we know that how some of the new issues and sometimes when subsidiaries, when companies are split into 2, they end up creating more shareholder value. So you may actually find some HNI investor and we may be eating our words.
12. Yeah.
Yeah, it could be completely different. I mean, the short term, like I said, I never expected Sheila Foams to do that well. I never expected, Dr. Path Labs to do that well. I never expected that Sun Pharma will do so poorly when it comes to the FDA inspection. So strange things can happen in the market. So that's my limited assessment.
Yeah.
But number of the day, I think Ajay is also getting ready.
Yeah, so we'll get to that as well. Just get in final thoughts from Mr. Rajan though. So this is Mandhana. We've told you all about it. You can make your decision based on what you think best for your portfolio. But just before we wrap up, I mean, we were just on that discussion. What is the clutch of pharma names? And you were just finishing your point about Laurus.
Yeah, Laurus is mostly an ARV player. It created stir in the market with ARVs. And ARVs, there are a lot of patent issues with Glaxo and Valiant and Gilead's. Laurus R&D pipeline is very strong. They have come out in formulation space as well. But that's you do because you need to have customers who needs formulation. But Laurus is going to be a new story for ARV in the API space.
Always
on the Sun Pharma, one clarification why I'm telling you the timeline on the steriles. If you see the observations, you need to comply and tell the FDA what you're doing. Now, in what happens in steriles, there are 2-3 observations on media fill. That study itself takes 8 months to do it. So unless until you complete it and then give the data to FDA, and FDA is not sitting only for you. So there's a queue there. So
we know about that queue. We talk about it pretty often.
So that's a fair assessment. I mean, that Sun Pharma something is going wrong, which nobody likes. I mean, come on, get your act together. Otherwise, the premium positioning which you've enjoyed for last decade, I mean, that premium positioning now is coming under threat. Now, Sun Pharma was known for best practices and for cutting edge R&D and the capability to really turn around global companies like Taro and Caraco, which were poorly run operationally, and they were able to bring it back and turn it around and integrate that. They've gone wrong on Ranbaxy, they've gone wrong on US FDA approvals. Halol is nothing but some kind of a disaster for them. Last year, Neeraj and Tanveer, I thought that there's a witch hunt by US FDA, but now I'm realizing, look, it's not a witch hunt. We should not blame US FDA on what's going on.
I told you that it's the most practical agency. And look at Divi's and other companies who have done fantastically well.
If you're good, US FDA is going to back you. If you're bad, US FDA is going to block you.
Absolutely.
It's great for the consumer as well.
Yes.
Appreciate
Appreciate
having
it.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/ETNow and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at ETNowLive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/user/ETNow.